Good evening, everyone. Here we are in our December 19, 2024 Observe, Wonder, Think presentation. So this is going to be our interactive webinar. The agenda for tonight, we're going to go over some acknowledgement and introductions, the format we're following so everybody is aware. And then we're going to go into a presentation by Elizabeth Braun, and we're going to go into a discussion soon after. And after that, we're going to inform you about opportunities and upcoming events in our site. So land acknowledgement here. Let me just see if I can. Sorry. I can read. Oh, I can read here. We wish to acknowledge this unceded land on which Beyond Benign operates. For years, it has been the traditional land of the Pawtucket and Massachusetts nations. We acknowledge the painful history of genocide, colonialism, and forced removal from this territory. We also acknowledge that further education is needed on our part to learn the full history of the land we occupy and all the indigenous people it belongs to. Beyond Benign use the resources that are listed in this link to help us put together our land acknowledgement for education on decolonizing. You can find these things in our Beyond Benign website. So here's our agenda, how we're going to go about this. So I'm going to introduce you to what we're going to do tonight. Let's see, is this slide? So my name is Esther Hines. I'm a recent retired chemistry teacher for 18 years. And then I have been called to be the coordinator for this, for the Beyond Benign Observe, Wonder, Think. So in this evening, we're going to have a talk about safety science programs or laboratory safety for some who don't know about this. So we welcome and encourage you to turn your camera and mics on, especially during our collaborative portion. We will also be monitoring and sharing a great deal in the chat, so to be inclusive and to encourage engagement from everyone. We are only recording the presentation and will pause recording during the collaborative portions. So please understand that while it is expected that the video feed is focused on the presenter, your voice and video feed may inevitably appear at some point. By attending the discussion, you consent to post video and or sound of you. Finally, I would like to remind everyone that by registering for the webinar series, you've agreed to our code of conduct. It will be posted in the chat where you're welcome to give it a thumbs up in acknowledgement of participation. We are essentially asking for participants to be respectful, kind, accepting, and open to varying viewpoints and opinions so all participants may feel safe and included. So, without further ado, we would love to learn a little bit about you. So in the chat, please introduce yourself and share what would you like to take away from today's session in the chat. We're talking about lab safety. So as you're typing in there in the chat, I will tell you a brief summary of what the format of the Observe, Wonder, Think will be. So we have I call it part one, a short presentation on the topic. And this will be for all our meetings here. And then it will be followed by what I like to call part two, will become a conversation among ourselves, including our presenter, of course, in which you can ask questions to the presenter, to each other, and we can also share experiences on what the topic of the day is. Okay, so we're going to introduce our topic for tonight. Safer science programs. And our presenter is Elizabeth Braun, coming from the organization Laboratory Safety Institute. So Elizabeth is a seasoned science educator with over 8 years of teaching experience and a passion for lab safety. She has taught all levels of chemistry, led curriculum development, and was honored as Bridgeland High School's inaugural Teacher of the Year. With you, Elizabeth, that's awesome. She's also developed a district-wide chemical hygiene plan. You'll see it during the presentation, and created professional development workshops to promote safe practices in secondary science classrooms. Now she's serving as Director of Educational Content and Learning at the Lab Safety Institute. She leads global initiatives like the Safer Science program to empower educators with practical safety tools. She holds a bachelor's, master's, and PhD degrees in chemistry and has published 7 peer-reviewed articles and continues to advocate for safer, more engaging science education worldwide. Elizabeth, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you all today and just to get to talk about safer science and its connection to green chemistry, because I think that they go hand in hand together and it's such an important conversation to have. So let me share my screen. All right. That look good?
Yes.
Perfect. Um, so thank you again, Esther. My name is Elizabeth Braun, and I am the Director of Educational Content and Learning with the Laboratory Safety Institute. We are a 50-year-old nonprofit based out of Natick, Massachusetts. So I'm going to start today by kind of telling you my story and how I got to this Safer Science program, and I call it my Safer Science journey. So I started out my undergraduate at Sam Houston State University. I studied chemistry. I loved chemistry and I wanted to be a professor. Like that was my goal. It's like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to go to grad school and I'm going to be a professor. So I go to grad school and work in an analytical chemistry lab. And I partnered with a cell biology group. We were a bio nanotechnology group, did my research, and was a graduate teaching assistant. My advisor, we were not heavily grant funded at that point, and so I ended up teaching a lot more in graduate school than some of my other peers because I had to teach to pay the rent, basically. But I loved it and I loved being a part of it. And my advisor always said a clean lab is a safe lab. So we were very clear on processes in our lab and ways to keep things safe. And that's kind of like the first place that I really started falling in love with this idea of a safer science and ways that we can do things. And as an analytical chemist, it was very much up my alley to write all these standard operating procedures. So at the end of my graduate career, I was blessed with my first daughter before I could defend my PhD. She came during the week I was supposed to defend, and so we moved back home, and I got a job in Cypress Fairbanks ISD as a teacher. Um, I knew I wanted to teach after graduate school. I was in no place to do a postdoc with a newborn. And so I was like, you know what? Let's teach. So I entered in as an alternatively certified teacher. They put me in the classroom on my second day there. I had signed up for the program. I had no idea what I was doing as a teacher. All I knew was I knew chemistry and I liked chemistry and I wanted to share it with kids. So my first year was one of those trial by fires. I think that as teachers, we've all kind of had those moments, but you learn as you go. And had the opportunity my second year teaching to open a brand new school and be a team leader at that school. That's also the year that I was named the school's inaugural teacher of the year. And it was kind of a whirlwind. You know, I've got a 1 year old, I've got a brand new school. We're trying to figure out our processes. And, you know, it was very eye-opening. So the school that I walked into on my very first assignment was an older school in our district, and it had a lot of chemicals that needed to be cleaned out. And I had this experience from school that like everything logged and tracked, and you had this clean space. And so I walked into this, secondary education setting, and I was like, there's a lot of things here that um, I think we could do better. And so when I opened the new school, that was one of my big things. It's like, okay, we're going to start our chemical stockroom and it's going to be organized properly and things are going to be labeled and it's just going to be they I was the safety person and they all just came to me and asked questions because I was the one taking the initiative, honestly. And seemed to be one of the only ones that was really like pushing for it and cared. So a lot of those processes that I built at the new school and put into place, I took with me as the district level. So my after 5 years in the classroom, I moved to the district level as a coach and started building out the safety program and expanding what I had done at my school to all of our schools. Um, Now, the school district I worked in, we had 12 high schools and 20 middle schools, 59 elementary with 118,000 students. So I was taking the process that I had done in one classroom and making it work across basically 30 schools, 32 schools in different situations and different stock rooms. And it was quite the challenge, and I loved it. It was such the puzzle. So, in doing this, it was a 4-year process that I did with and it took a lot of different people. It wasn't me. It was conversations. It was working with our facilities director, working with our operations because that's the department that oversaw our hazardous waste collection, and they were the ones helping us get the chemicals off campus and our collection barrels. It was maintenance because our safety showers weren't working, risk management to identify that we were lacking in some of our documentation. We needed the chemical hygiene plan. And then curriculum and instruction because we were I that was the department I worked in was curriculum and instruction, and then I was like interacting with all of these different people trying to show them like, hey, like we all can work together to accomplish this common goal. And then also just making sure that what we were doing as a district and as curriculum coaches is we were providing teachers with the training that they needed and providing them with chemicals that were safe to use, right? So in that 4 years, we started by eliminating the hazards. We contracted a vendor, we got them to come in, and we removed everything that was like physically a hazard we could see immediately. And then we slowly started to substitute in and find different ways to do experiments and how can we substitute this hazardous chemical that may not be physically a hazard at the moment because it's not deteriorating, but we don't need to have it in our schools. How can we substitute it for something different? um, and that is setting the stage for green chemistry because when you think about it, those are like that's one of um, the 12 components, right? We want to eliminate, we want to substitute, we want to find safer alternatives. And so at the time when I was in Sci-Fi ISD, I didn't know that much about green chemistry. I was going based off of, experience in grad school, all of these articles. I was the one that was reading, OSHA and EPA regulations at my desk. And my coworkers are like, what are you doing? I was like, but it's so fascinating. Like, how do we I was the weirdo. It was my nerd passion, right? But that's what got us moving forward is just my curiosity for it. And so with that, like and through that, I actually got connected with the Laboratory Safety Institute and was offered the opportunity to join them this past July. So I joined them as their Director of Educational Content and Learning, and since then have been working with our very amazing board members. They have so much experience. And our founder, who again is just a wealth of knowledge and taking everything that LSI has and combining it with my experiences in the classroom to develop our Safer Science program. And it's been a journey and it has been so fun, and I'm still learning. And what I will tell you is that at LSI, we believe Safer Science embeds a deep rooted commitment to safety throughout one's educational journey. So, our goal is for students to graduate safety conscious and career ready, supported by a culture where safe practices are the norm through established procedures and training. Um, So our big thing is safety can start at the beginning. It can start, it's foundational, right? If we can teach our students to think critically and to assess the risk and understand the hazards that they're presented with, it's going to create better stewards of our knowledge as they grow, because they're going to then move into middle school to high school, and they're going to ask those questions so that when they go into college and graduate school, now they have an understanding of what they're dealing with. They walk in and they start asking, like, well, what are the hazards? Well, why aren't you wearing goggles? Shouldn't we have some gloves when we're dealing with this? It's about making sure that they have the knowledge and the confidence to, and are aware of what they need to do in order to practice science safely. And so this particular image is um, it's a radar chart, but it's the result of our self-assessment, which I'll show you a link for that in a second. But ultimately, with our Safer Science program, it's composed of 6 essential elements, and we believe that safer science has to be done holistically. So just like I saw in my experience in SciFair, like one person can't do it all, and it can't fall on one person. We all have to work together to build this culture of safety, and it's going to take people from different departments. So, for example, we need to manage our materials. We have to consider, how do our materials come into our building? How do we use the materials? And then how do our materials leave the building? What facilities do we have in place? And if we don't have the proper facilities to do this experiment, how can we change what we are doing to make sure that we are providing a safe learning environment for our students? Are we making sure that what we're providing them is ingrained in our curriculum and is not just another wow? So much now with like TikTok and YouTube, you just like see a video and like, oh, that's an experiment. I could do it. No big deal. Like, I'll pick up some stuff at HEB on the way in. Oh, HEB is a Texas thing. Sorry, the grocery store. Um, and uh, but they've never practiced it and they've never done it. And then they get in front of their students and they're like, oh, it's fine. It's going to be fine. And it's not fine, right? That's not teaching them good habits. And so we want to make sure that what we're doing is not just for show, but there's educational value ingrained in it. Our administrative controls will be things like your chemical hygiene plan, making sure that you have the support and you're not just trying to be the little fish swimming upstream. You want to make sure that you have everyone communicating the same way and on the same page. And then with professional development, honestly, this is what we see as the weakest area. And the greatest need in this area is training our teachers. Because if we are not training our teachers, how are they going to train our students, right? We can't change the way our students are doing things if we're not helping our teachers understand better ways and safer ways to do that. And then ultimately, it has to be sustainable, because as a teacher, no one is going to accept one more thing. You know, we're at the end of the semester, it's Christmas break. Like, please don't ask one more thing of me. I just want to go on break, right? Like, that's where every teacher is at right now. They just need a moment to breathe, and they don't need someone telling them, like, oh, well, you've got one more form to fill out, right? Like, it's got to fit into their systems. So that's what our program is all about. And it's been really, really wonderful getting to work with and get to know people through this program and help them just problem solve and find ways to make their space safer. Um, so we've created a self-assessment tool. It's a free tool on our website that you can go and take. It gives you 3 questions for each of our 6 essential elements, and it will produce for you a customized report that will give you a radar chart that looks just like that one. And it will tell you where you fall in each of those 6 elements on a maturity scale from assess, activate, enhance to sustain. And ultimately, we want to help you get to sustain in all 6 areas. And so um, it will give you, what does it mean to have materials management? And then what does your score tell you about materials management? And what are 3 ways that you can get started to help improve your program? And so you get that for all 6 of them. So it's a really great place to start and just kind of see, well, where am I at? Where are my strengths? Where are my weaknesses? And how can I start to improve? Um, Given that we found in all of our research and our data, and then also just collecting the data through the self assessments, we found that the professional development piece again is our lowest scoring area. And so another piece that we've developed is our Safer Science Masterclass. It's an 8-part series, and each month we hold it once a month live for 1 hour, and you can get access to the recordings if you subscribe to the series. But it offers different insights and tools on different topics. So every month is a different topic. It's a lot like this webinar, where we get to just, what is safer science? Like this week, we talked about beyond the lab and what does it mean to do science in a non-science classroom? What do I need to consider? What are some strategies? How do I handle my chemical inventory? So again, it's been really great to just connect with other educators and talk through these things, get their perspective and what they're going through, and then what does the regulation say? What do I have to do? But what can I do? Right? Let's see. The other thing that we're doing, again, professional development, this is a free opportunity for teachers. We held our pilot last summer in Cincinnati at the University of Cincinnati, but this is called our Safer Science Summit. It's a week-long PD. You don't have to come all week. You can pick what you want to come for. Um, but we are holding one at Harvard. We'll hold another one at the University of Cincinnati. We have Ouachita and Henderson State University and Arkadelphia that will be hosting, and Houston is still on the way. So, with this, we do 2 days of safer science education where we go through these topics, the chemical hygiene plan, what do we need for chemical storage, just kind of some basics. And then we have that conversation time, right? To connect with other educators and build your toolkit. Then on the third day, we do a train the trainer lab inspections. So we'll actually walk you through and teach you how to do a lab inspection. What are you looking for? What are some ways that you can streamline this process to make it fit into your schedule and the way that your beginning of the year processes, and then how often do I need to test this equipment? But we partner with local high schools, and so we'll go to a school, we'll learn how do the train the trainer, and then we'll go to a second school, and you get to actually apply your skills and do the lab inspection yourself. And then we have our expert board members who are industrial hygienists that come in and help us and train our teachers on that as well. The fourth day, we are trying to redefine those classroom demos. We've got partners that will provide kits for us. The teachers get the opportunity to kind of be the student and explore. They will look at science demos and reactions through the lens of a risk assessment. And we also partner with other local community members. In Ohio, the Cincinnati Observatory comes in and teaches teachers, like we talk about telescope safety and just different ways that you can experience safety in a non-classroom setting. And lastly, again, the administrative controls are such a key part in this. We want to make sure that we have an audience with our leaders. So we do a leadership and safety seminar where you bring your department chairs, your principals, your superintendents, whoever is your leader that has some decision making power. We bring them in for conversations and for, again, for more training, letting them know, like, why is this important? What is so important about it? And how can we help partner with them to change that culture of safety within their school or within their district? So, and this is the outline for all of our events. And you can go to our website to find those locations and register for them. You can register for 1 day, well, the 2 days, or you can register for the whole week. It's up to you. But we would love to have you and share this information with your friends or anyone else that you may know, because I think this is a really great opportunity for teachers, and it is free. So that's a big bonus. Um, Lastly, I wanted to go back to that connection of where safer science and green chemistry intersect. So Natalie wrote this paper, and I actually love this paper, and it talks so much about, what do we need, right? Well, we know that elimination, substitution, those are some of those foundational pieces. And looking at our 12 parts of green chemistry if we can use safer chemicals, if we can use less hazardous chemicals, we can waste prevention, right? Eliminate some of that stuff. All of this is going to help for safer science and safer exploration. Um, our 2025, I guess, theme, you could call it, is every breakthrough begins with a safe place to explore. So these students that are going to go and discover the next cure for cancer or anything, like the sky's the limit and what these young minds can do. They can get there when we give them a foundation of safety and a safe environment from the very beginning and build up those good habits so that as they progress, they have a good skill set and good techniques, and it's safe for them to wonder and to think and to observe and to ask those questions to grow science in such a big way. So um, I would love to connect with you. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can email me at any time, and I'd love to talk more because this is definitely my nerd passion, and I could talk about it forever. So, thank you guys for letting me share.